My teen daughter almost took sister's life with cough syrup, so I had her institutionalized. Now, a year later, she's asking to rejoin the family. The night it happened, I found my 8-year-old daughter Mia unconscious on the bathroom floor. Her lips were blue and she was barely breathing. The empty bottle of cough syrup was still in her hand. My older daughter Emma, who was 15 at the time, was standing in the doorway crying. She kept saying she was sorry, that she didn't mean for this to happen. The paramedics got Mia stable and rushed her to the hospital. The doctors said she'd ingested enough dextromethorphan to cause a seizure. They asked how an 8-year-old got access to that much cough syrup. Emma confessed before I could even ask. She said she'd been giving Mia small doses for weeks because it made her sleepy and easier to deal with. That night, she'd given her too much by accident. I stood in that hospital hallway feeling like the ground had disappeared beneath me. My sweet Emma, the girl who used to braid her little sister's hair and read her bedtime stories, had been drugging her. The psychiatrists evaluated Emma over the following weeks. They said she showed signs of severe emotional disturbance, possible conduct disorder, lack of remorse indicators. They recommended a residential treatment facility 2 hours away. I signed the papers while Emma begged me not to send her away. She kept saying there was more to the story, that I didn't understand what was really happening. But Mia was still in the hospital recovering from what her own sister had done to her. I couldn't risk keeping Emma in our home. For the first 6 months, I didn't visit. I couldn't look at her. My husband Rick thought I was being too harsh, but he hadn't been the one to find Mia on that bathroom floor. He hadn't watched our youngest daughter get her stomach pumped. Mia recovered physically within weeks, but she became different after that, quieter. She stopped wanting to play with friends and started spending hours alone in her room. The therapist said it was normal trauma response. I believed that completely. Around month 8, I finally started visiting Emma. She looked thinner, older somehow. She'd stopped trying to explain herself and just asked about Mia, about school, about whether the cat still slept on her bed. She seemed genuinely changed, genuinely sorry. Last month, Emma's treatment team called for a family meeting. They said she'd made remarkable progress and was ready for reintegration. They wanted to start with supervised home visits, then work toward full return. Rick was cautiously optimistic, but when I told Mia that her sister might be coming home, something strange happened. Mia didn't react the way I expected. She didn't seem scared or upset. Instead, she got very still and asked me one question. Did Emma tell you why she did it? I said Emma claimed there was more to the story but never explained. Mia nodded slowly and said nothing else. That night, I noticed Mia's bedroom door was locked. She'd never locked her door before. When I asked about it the next morning, she said she just wanted privacy. Normal for a 9-year-old, I told myself. But then I started noticing other things. Mia had started keeping a journal that she hid under her mattress. She'd become very particular about making her own drinks and snacks, refusing anything I prepared. She flinched whenever Rick walked into a room unexpectedly. I mentioned these behaviors to her therapist, who said they were consistent with anxiety from the trauma. That made sense. But something about the explanation felt incomplete. 2 weeks before Emma's first home visit, I was cleaning Mia's room while she was at school. I found the journal she'd been hiding. I knew I shouldn't read it, but something compelled me to open it. The first few pages were normal, drawings and lists of favorite songs. Then I reached an entry from 8 months ago. The handwriting was shaky, like she'd been crying while she wrote it. The words made my blood turn cold. Emma knows what's happening. She's trying to make me sleep so I don't have to be awake when he comes in. She says the medicine helps me not remember. I wish I could tell Mom, but he said he'd hurt Emma if I told anyone. I flipped forward with trembling hands. Entry after entry described things no 8-year-old should know about. Things that had been happening for over a year. Things that happened at night when I thought everyone was safe in their beds. Emma wasn't poisoning her sister. She was trying to protect her the only way a 15-year-old knew how, and I'd sent her away for it while the real monster stayed in our house. I heard the front door open downstairs. Rick called out that he was home early, because the rest of the story is on my channel or linked below. I clutch the journal to my chest as Rick's footsteps grow louder on the stairs. My heart hammers against my ribs, and I feel like I might vomit. The words from Mia's journal are seared into my brain. The man I've shared a bed with for 16 years has been abusing our daughter, and Emma, my sweet Emma, was trying to protect her sister the only way she knew how. With trembling hands, I slide the journal back under Mia's mattress, just as Rick's footsteps reach the top of the stairs. I pull out my phone and quickly text Emma's treatment center. Need to speak with Emma urgently. Family emergency. I hit send, just as Rick appears in the doorway. Hey, what are you doing in here? His voice is casual, normal. How can he sound so normal? I turn to face him, hoping my expression doesn't betray me. I've never been a good liar, but now my family's safety depends on it. Just tidying up a bit. My voice sounds strange, hollow. Rick studies my face. You look upset. What's wrong? I swallow hard. Just tired. It's been a long day at the hospital with Emma. He nods, seeming to accept this. How is she doing? The question makes my stomach turn. He's asking about Emma's well-being when he's the reason she's there. I force myself to breathe. She's making progress. The treatment team thinks she might be ready for home visits soon. Something flickers across Rick's face. Concern? Fear? I can't tell, but it's gone in an instant. That's great news, he says, smiling. We should have a special family dinner to celebrate when she comes home. Mia would like that. At the mention of Mia's name, I have to grip the edge of the bed to steady myself. I need to get him away from me before I fall apart, or worse, confront him now when I have no plan, no protection in place for the girls. That sounds nice, I manage. Rick takes a step closer, and it takes everything in me not to recoil. Are you sure you're okay? You seem off. Just exhausted from the hospital visit. I think I need to lie down for a bit. He nods and steps back. I'll go check on Mia. She should be home from school soon. The thought of him anywhere near Mia sends panic coursing through me. Actually, she has a playdate with Sophia after school today. Her mom's bringing her home around 5. The lie comes out smoothly, surprising me. Mia doesn't even have a friend named Sophia, but Rick doesn't question it. Oh, right, I forgot about that. As we head downstairs, I watch him carefully. Has he always moved that way, so confident and untroubled? How could I have lived with this monster for so long and never suspected? Mia comes home from school 30 minutes later, and I observe their interaction with new eyes. The way she stiffens when Rick ruffles her hair, the way she angles her body away from him, creating distance. The quick, nervous glances she sends my way when Rick asks about her day. Signs that were always there, that I somehow missed or explained away. I've got to head back to the office, Rick announces after a while. Big presentation tomorrow. Relief washes over me. Okay, we'll see you tonight. I wait until I hear his car pull out of the driveway before turning to Mia. Honey, why don't you watch TV in the living room for a bit? I need to do some work in Dad's office. Her eyes widen slightly, but she nods and heads to the living room. Does she know what I've discovered? Is she afraid for me, or of me not believing her? The thought makes my chest ache. In Rick's office, I close the door quietly and begin searching. His desk drawers are mostly filled with ordinary things: pens, paper clips, old receipts. But in the bottom drawer, hidden beneath a stack of file folders, I find a small box. My hands shake as I lift it out and remove the lid. Photos, dozens of them, all of Mia. Some are innocent enough, Mia sleeping, Mia in her swimsuit at the beach. But others, I clamp my hand over my mouth to stifle the sob that threatens to escape. These aren't the photos of a loving father. These are the photos of a predator. I replace the box exactly as I found it and turn to his computer. It's password protected, but I know all his passwords, or at least, I thought I did. None of the usual ones work. After several attempts, I managed to guess the right combination: Mia's birthday backwards, and the screen unlocks. Most of the files seem normal work documents, family photos, tax records, but there's a folder tucked away in a subfolder labeled simply "Special Time." It's encrypted, requiring another password I don't know. The name alone makes bile rise in my throat. I don't need to see what's inside to know. I carefully close everything, making sure to leave no trace of my search, and shut down the computer. As I stand to leave, I catch sight of our family photo on Rick's desk, all 4 of us smiling at the camera during last summer's vacation. We looked so happy, so normal, but we weren't normal, and I wasn't seeing what was happening right in front of me. I walk back to the living room where Mia is curled up on the couch, her small body tense even in rest. I sit beside her and gently stroke her hair. Mia, sweetheart, I say softly, I want you to know something very important. I believe you, and I'm going to make sure no one ever hurts you again. She looks up at me, her eyes filling with tears, and I know she understands what I've discovered. She doesn't speak, just wraps her arms around me and holds on tight, like she's afraid I might disappear. I hold her close, my mind already planning our next steps. First, I need to talk to Emma. Then, I need evidence that no one can dismiss or explain away. And then I need to get both my daughters somewhere safe, away from the monster who's been hiding in plain sight all this time. I wake up early the next morning, my mind racing with what I've discovered. Rick is still asleep, his breathing deep and even. How can he sleep so peacefully? I slip out of bed, careful not to wake him, and get dressed in the bathroom. I leave a note saying I'm running errands, then drive to Emma's treatment facility. The 2-hour drive gives me time to think, to plan. I've been visiting Emma for about a month now, after ignoring her for the first 6 months she was here. The guilt of that decision weighs on me like a physical thing. While I was shutting her out, she was alone, carrying the burden of what she knew. When I arrive, Emma is sitting in the visiting area, her face blank. She's lost weight since being here, her cheekbones more pronounced, her eyes hollow. When she sees me, her expression doesn't change. You're here early, she says flatly. Did Dad come? No, just me today. I sit across from her, my hands trembling slightly. How are you feeling? She shrugs. Same as yesterday, same as the day before. I take a deep breath. Emma, I need to talk to you about something important. Let me guess. The treatment team told you I'm making progress, so you're here to discuss my supervised home visits. Her voice is bitter, resigned. No, I'm here to talk about Mia's journal. The change in her is immediate. Her eyes widen, her body tenses, and her hands grip the edge of her chair so tightly her knuckles turn white. What about it? She whispers. I found it. I read it. I lean forward, lowering my voice. I know what Dad's been doing to her. Emma's face crumples, tears filling her eyes. For a moment, she can't speak. Then the words come in a rush, like she's been holding them back for too long. I tried to tell them. I tried to tell the doctors, the psychiatrists, everyone, but they said I was manipulating, that I was making up stories to justify what I did to Mia. She wipes roughly at her tears. They said it was a classic pattern of conduct disorder, inventing abuse allegations when caught doing something wrong. Why didn't you tell me? I ask, though I already know the answer. Would you have believed me? Her eyes meet mine, challenging. You couldn't even look at me after what happened. You signed the papers to put me in here without even asking why I did it. The truth of her words stings. I'm sorry, Emma. I failed you both. She looks away, her shoulders hunched. I just wanted her to sleep through it. The cough syrup made her drowsy, helped her forget sometimes. Her voice breaks. I didn't know what else to do. He said if Mia told anyone, he'd hurt me too, and then no one would be there to protect her. My heart shatters at the impossible choice my 15-year-old daughter had been forced to make. How long has it been happening? Since before I gave her the medicine. Over a year, maybe longer. Emma's hands twist together in her lap. I tried to stay awake, to keep him away from her room, but I couldn't do it every night. The medicine was the only thing I could think of. Why didn't you run away with her? Call the police? He's a respected businessman. Everyone loves him. The bitterness in her voice is palpable. And he said if we told, he'd make sure no one believed us, that they'd take Mia away from you too. I couldn't risk that. I reach across the table and take her hand. I believe you, Emma, and I'm going to fix this. After our conversation, I meet with Emma's therapist, Dr. Winters. She's a serious woman with with kind eyes and a no-nonsense manner. Emma has been consistent in her allegations since she arrived. She tells me, pulling out a thick file. We documented everything, even though we couldn't substantiate her claims without corroborating evidence. She shows me session notes, drawings Emma made, transcripts of conversations where Emma described what she knew about Rick's abuse of Mia. Why wasn't I informed? I ask, anger rising. We tried, Doctor. Winter's voice is gentle but firm. You declined our calls for the first 6 months. By the time you started visiting, Emma had stopped talking about it. She believed no one would help. The drive home is a blur of tears and rage. I'm furious at myself, at the system that failed my daughters, at Rick most of all. By the time I pull into our driveway, I've made a decision. Rick is unusually attentive that evening, bringing home flowers, offering to make dinner. Is he suspicious? Does he know I've discovered his secret? I force myself to act normal, to smile and thank him for being thoughtful. After dinner, when Mia is doing homework and Rick is watching TV, I slip upstairs to Mia's room. I've ordered a small camera online, disguised as a stuffed animal. I place it on her bookshelf, angled toward her bed, and test it on my phone. The image is clear, the audio working. That night, I lie awake beside Rick, my skin crawling every time he shifts in his sleep. Around 2 a.m., he gets up, claiming he needs water. I pretend to be asleep, my heart pounding as I hear his footsteps pause outside Mia's room. I count to 30, then follow silently. Through the crack in the door, I see him sitting on the edge of Mia's bed, his hand on her shoulder. She's pretending to be asleep, her body rigid with fear. I retreat to our bedroom, checking the camera feed on my phone, bile rising in my throat as I watch him whisper to my daughter, telling her to be quiet, that it's special time. The evidence is recording, saving to the cloud where he can't delete it. By morning, I'll have what I need to end this nightmare once and for all. I wait until Rick leaves for work before I gather everything. The journal, the flash drive with the video footage. My hands tremble as I place them in my bag. There's no going back after this. The police station is busier than I expected. Officers move through the lobby with purpose, while civilians wait on hard plastic chairs, their faces reflecting various stages of distress. I give my name to the receptionist and explain I need to speak with someone about a child abuse case. Detective Morales handles those, she says, her expression softening slightly. Let me see if she's available. 20 minutes later, I'm sitting across from Detective Morales in a small interview room. She's a woman in her 40s with sharp eyes and a calm demeanor that puts me at ease despite the circumstances. Tell me what brought you here today, she says. The words pour out of me. Emma's institutionalization, the cough syrup incident, finding Mia's journal, the hidden camera footage. Detective Morales takes notes, asking clarifying questions but never interrupting the flow of my story. When I finish, she looks up from her notepad. Do you have the evidence with you? I hand over the journal and flash drive. My fingers linger on Mia's journal, reluctant to let go of this tangible proof of what my daughter has endured. I'll need to review these materials, Detective Morales says, but based on what you've told me, we have grounds to move quickly. I'd like to arrange emergency protective custody for your daughter while we investigate. What does that mean exactly? It means we'll remove Mia from the home immediately for her safety. You can accompany her, of course. We'll provide temporary housing until we can secure the situation. And Rick, we'll need to question him. If the evidence supports your allegations, we'll arrest him. She pauses. Mrs. Thompson, I need to ask, are you prepared for what comes next? This will change your family forever. Am I prepared? I think about Emma, locked away for trying to protect her sister. About Mia, living in fear in her own home. About the years I spent blind to what was happening right under my roof. I'm ready, I say, my voice steadier than I feel. Detective Morales nods. Let me make some calls. We'll send officers to your home to collect Mia. It would be best if you're there when they arrive. 3 hours later, I'm sitting in my living room with 2 uniformed officers and a social worker named Miss Chen. Mia is upstairs packing a small bag with Miss Chen's help. The officers have explained that they'll stay until Rick returns, then serve him with the emergency protective order. Mom? Mia's voice comes from the stairs. She looks so small standing there with her backpack, clutching the stuffed rabbit Emma gave her years ago. Are we really leaving? I cross to her, kneeling so we're eye to eye. Yes, sweetheart. We're going somewhere safe for a while. Is Dad going to be mad? The question breaks my heart. You don't need to worry about that anymore. You're going to be safe now. Miss Chen gently guides us toward the door. The officers will handle everything here. Let's get you 2 settled. We're halfway to the car when Rick's SUV turns into the driveway. My blood freezes in my veins as he parks and steps out, his expression shifting from confusion to alarm when he spots the police cruiser. What's going on? He asks, striding toward us. Why are the police here? One officer steps forward. Mr. Thompson, I need you to stay where you are. Rick ignores him, eyes locked on me. What have you done? Sir, I need you to step back, the officer repeats more firmly. This is my house, Rick says, his voice rising. The second officer approaches with papers in hand. Mr. Thompson, we're here to serve you with an emergency protective order. Your daughter has been placed in temporary protective custody pending an investigation. Investigation? Into what? Rick's face contorts with rage, but I can see the fear underneath. He knows. Child abuse allegations, sir. Rick's demeanor changes instantly. His shoulders slump, his expression softens into something resembling concern. This is a misunderstanding. My wife has been under tremendous stress since our older daughter was institutionalized. She's not thinking clearly. The calculated shift makes my stomach turn. This is how he's always operated. Charming, reasonable, making others doubt themselves. Actually, Detective Morales says, stepping from the house, we have substantial evidence supporting these allegations. She holds up a tablet, including video footage from last night. The color drains from Rick's face. For a moment, he's frozen, his mask slipping to reveal the monster beneath. Then his eyes dart to his car, calculating. Don't, Detective Morales warns, reading his intention. Running will only make this worse. Rick lunges toward his car anyway. The officers react immediately, tackling him to the ground. Mia whimpers beside me, burying her face against my side as they handcuff her father. It's okay, I whisper, shielding her eyes. Don't look. As they lead Rick to the police car, he twists toward me, his face contorted with hatred. You'll regret this, he spits. No one will believe you over me. Detective Morales steps between us. Mr. Thompson, I've reviewed the evidence myself. The video is quite clear, as are your daughter's journal entries. And we've already spoken with Emma at her treatment facility. Her account matches everything. At the mention of Emma, something shifts in Rick's eyes. Panic, maybe. Or the realization that his carefully constructed world is crumbling. Take him in, Detective Morales tells the officers. She turns to me. Miss Chen will take you and Mia to the safe house now. We'll be in touch about next steps. As we drive away, Mia sits silently beside me, her small hand clutching mine. I think about Emma, alone at the treatment facility, not knowing what's happening. Can we call Emma? Mia asks suddenly, as if reading my thoughts. Yes, sweetheart, as soon as we get settled. But when we arrive at the small apartment that will be our temporary home, there's a message waiting from Dr. Winters at Emma's facility. Emma collapsed when we told her about her father's arrest, she explains over the phone. She's physically fine, it was just the emotional shock. She's been carrying this burden for so long, and the relief was overwhelming. Can I speak with her? I ask. There's a pause. Then Emma's voice comes through, fragile but clear. Mom, is it true? Is he really gone? Yes, sweetheart. He can't hurt either of you anymore. Emma's sob is both heartbreaking and cathartic. I tried to tell them. I tried so hard. I know you did. I'm so sorry I didn't listen sooner. My voice breaks. You were so brave, Emma. You protected Mia the best way you knew how. Can I come home now? The question is small, hesitant, like she's afraid to hope. I look at Mia, who's watching me with wide, hopeful eyes. Not to the old house. We're staying somewhere new for now. But yes, we're working on bringing you home to us. That night, in our temporary apartment, Mia crawls into bed beside me. Is Emma really coming home? Yes, I promise. And we're going to be okay. All three of us. For the first time in over a year, I believe it might actually be true. The news comes from Detective Morales the following morning. Rick has been denied bail. Flight risk, she explains over the phone. And the judge considered the evidence substantial enough to hold him until trial. Relief floods through me. I won't have to worry about him showing up at our temporary housing or trying to contact Mia. I thank the detective and hang up, turning to find Mia standing in the doorway of our small kitchen, still in her pajamas. Was that about Dad? She asks, her voice small. I nod, unsure how much to share. He's going to stay in jail for now. Good. The word is barely audible, but the conviction behind it breaks my heart all over again. No child should feel safer with their father behind bars. 3 days later, I'm sitting in Dr. Winters' office at Emma's treatment facility, finalizing the paperwork for her release. After a year of institutional living, Emma is coming home not to the house where she suffered, but to our temporary apartment where we're piecing our lives back together. Emma's made remarkable progress, Dr. Winters tells me, sliding the discharge papers across her desk, but she's still processing complex trauma. She'll need continued therapy, structure, patience. We'll give her whatever she needs, I promise, signing my name to the documents that will reunite our fractured family. When Emma emerges from the residential wing with her small duffel bag, she looks both older and younger than her 15 years. Her face has filled out a bit since Rick's arrest, but her eyes still hold shadows no teenager should carry. Ready? I ask, standing to embrace her. She nods, her body stiff in my arms before gradually relaxing. Is Mia okay with me coming home? She's been counting down the days, I assure her. She's made you a welcome home sign and everything. The drive back to our temporary apartment is quiet. Emma stares out the window, occasionally asking questions about Rick's case or what our new place is like. I answer as honestly as I can without overwhelming her. The prosecutor thinks he'll take a plea deal, I tell her, to avoid a trial. So Mia won't have to testify? Relief colors her voice. That's the hope. When we arrive at the apartment, Emma hesitates at the door. I can see her gathering courage, bracing herself for the reunion. I place my hand gently on her shoulder. It's okay to be nervous, I say. Mia is too. The door swings open before I can turn my key. Mia stands there, clutching her stuffed rabbit, her eyes wide as she takes in her sister's presence. For a moment, neither girl moves. Then Mia launches herself forward, wrapping her arms around Emma's waist. You're home, she whispers fiercely. You're really home. Emma's composure breaks. She drops to her knees, holding Mia tightly, tears streaming down her face. I'm so sorry, she sobs. I'm so sorry I couldn't protect you better. Mia pulls back, her small hands framing Emma's face. But you did protect me, she insists. You helped me sleep through the bad times. You made it so I could forget sometimes. I watch my daughters holding each other, their shared trauma creating a bond I can barely comprehend. They understand each other in ways I never will, despite my best efforts. That night, after Mia has fallen asleep, Emma joins me on the small balcony of our apartment, the city lights spread before us, anonymous and comforting in their distance. I kept thinking about this moment, Emma says quietly. When I was at the treatment center, I'd imagined Mia being safe, being able to sleep without fear. It kept me going when the doctors didn't believe me. I reach for her hand. I'm sorry I didn't believe you either, that I didn't even give you the chance to explain. You believed me when it counted, she says, squeezing my fingers. You found the truth. 2 weeks later, we begin family therapy with Dr. Linden, a specialist in childhood trauma. The sessions are difficult, filled with tears, painful revelations, and sometimes long silences. But slowly, we're learning to talk about what happened, to process it together rather than alone. Emma, Dr. Linden says during our 4th session, can you tell Mia how you felt when you realized what was happening to her? Emma looks at her sister, who sits cross-legged on the floor, coloring in a therapy workbook. I felt like I failed you, she says, her voice catching. feeling, like I should have been able to stop it completely, not just make it easier to bear. Mia looks up, her crayon pausing mid-stroke. But you were just a kid too, she says with the simple clarity of a 9-year-old, and you saved me from worse things. You gave me the medicine so I wouldn't remember everything. Dr. Linden nods encouragingly. That's very insightful, Mia. Emma was doing the best she could with an impossible situation. 3 months after Rick's arrest, his lawyer calls to inform us he's accepted a plea deal, 20 years without possibility of parole. In exchange, Mia won't have to testify, and the details of the case will remain sealed. He'll be an old man when he gets out, I tell the girls that evening, and we'll have protections in place to keep him away from us forever. Emma nods, some of the tension visibly leaving her shoulders. Mia is quieter, processing in her own way as she arranges and rearranges the beads on her therapy bracelet. Can we move to a real house now? She asks finally. One without bad memories? 6 months later, we do exactly that. We sell the house where our family fractured, where innocence was stolen, where I was blind to the monster sleeping beside me. The realtor never asks why we're selling, and we never volunteer the information. Let some other family make better memories there. Our new home is smaller but filled with light large windows in every room, no dark corners to hide secrets. On moving day, Emma helps Mia arrange her new bedroom, hanging fairy lights and positioning stuffed animals just so. I watch from the doorway as my daughters laugh together over something private, their heads bent close. The sound of their laughter is still rare enough to feel miraculous. Mom, Emma calls, noticing me. Come see what we did with Mia's bookshelf. I join them, admiring their handiwork. The healing isn't linear. There are still nightmares, therapy appointments, days when progress feels impossible. But there are also moments like this, ordinary and precious, that remind me we're moving forward. That night, after both girls are asleep, I sit on our new porch and allow myself to finally exhale. The weight I've carried since finding Mia's journal hasn't disappeared completely, but it's lightened enough to let me breathe. In the morning, I'll wake up to Mia's footsteps padding down the hall to Emma's room, where they'll whisper and giggle until breakfast. I'll make pancakes, and we'll talk about normal things, school projects, and weekend plans, and whether we should get a cat. We're building something new from the wreckage of what was destroyed. It's not perfect, but it's ours. And for the first time in longer than I can remember, the future holds more promise than fear.